Hello, my lovelies. I'm Jenny O, the author with no last name, and this is Star Stable Month. In my last video, I went over the company PR statements versus what the employees were saying on Glassdoor since April. In today's video, I want to go over what Star Stable has actually done, or not done, in the last 6 or 7 months. And I was waiting to record this until we got the November roadmap, and it's November 8th. Well, I'm recording. No roadmap, so I guess they think they don't need to do it anymore? First off, an FYI, it has come to my attention, if you have purchased a lifetime Star Rider account and you don't log into your account for 2 weeks, it goes inactive, and they will stop giving you the 100 star coin weekly allowance, which you know is the reason why you bought Lifetime in the first place. It doesn't matter right now if this is true or not. If it's true, it's a shitty thing to do. If it's not true, then well, no harm in logging in every couple of weeks if you care to keep your account active. So just a heads up. The comments I saw, they had confirmation they were talking to SSO about it, and SSO says, yep, we do the thing, and I'm passing the thing along to you. I want to remind everyone that Star Stable is a corporation. Their job is to make money. They are not your friends. It doesn't matter how much they say they care about you, that you're family, and they want your feedback and support. What they really want is your money. And we've been giving it to them to the tune of $26 to $44 million a year. None of us who make critical videos about Star Stable hate Star Stable. We love Star Stable. We care about it, and we want it to be better. The reason I'm personally making these videos is I care about you, the players. I want every player, no matter your playing style or what you like to do in Star Stable, to have a fun, challenging experience. Corporations, if we let them get away with it, will release unfinished buggy games. Unfinished buggy games are always going to be a loss to the player. Star Stable is an unfinished, bug-ridden game. We Star Stable players are losing. The state of the game is unacceptable. With these videos, I'm coming from the opinion Star Stable wants to be respected in the game industry space. Therefore, I'm holding them to the same standard as any other MMO or industry type game. No other gaming company would get a pass. Zon certainly isn't getting a pass. Look at the mess New World is in. SSE shouldn't get a pass. Remember, the greater gaming industry and game news YouTubers don't know or don't care about SSO, which is a shame because they could really help to set this right, and don't think I'm not tempted to bring it to their attention, because I am. This means SSE might not like what I have to say very much. Remember, what has happened with the roadmap and the updates to the game is not the game devs' fault. It's the fault of the corporate management who decide what is coming next. There are game devs who are very passionate about Star Stable and want to make it a better game and can't because corporate thinks it costs too much. Please, don't harass the game devs. This is also not the ambassador's fault. They are unpaid PR people who only get star coins out of this. Please, don't harass the ambassadors. Let's sum up what happened with SSO since 2017 when the current CEO, Johan S., took over from Frederick G. They have sold shares of SSE, making them beholden to shareholders rather than focusing on players. They have added in 8 types of grind. They have removed significant portions of gameplay, which included game mechanics. They have essentially doubled horse output, creating a profit of 44 million in 2020 alone. They decided to change the game art style and are still changing it. They've expanded the map. They have 21 million subscribers, of which 3 to 7% are active players. Not good, and have changed important players in their management team 3 times. They've put out 2 apps, books, music, and a Sizzler animated series in Mistfall. All of this is to funnel players to the main game. You might be going, Jenny, they have a yearly plan. They can't change that plan on a dime. You have to wait until next year. Goodness sakes, for all we know, like in 2019, next year we will have yet a new management team with new priorities and toss out any yearly plan, leaving the devs scrambling. Wait, you mean, oh yes, remember how in my last videos I said they have a new CMO and new game director? We are at management team 4, folks. So yeah, that's happened. If you want to know more, go ahead and watch my previous videos. It's a doozy. The community is pretty adamant they want a change and they don't want a band-aid or to wait years for it. In 2019 was the last major story update, which was really short, being it was the light ride. They advertised the light ride as a yearly type of event and then a year or so later turned around and labeled it as a main story quest. It's now 2021 and 2 years is about the amount of time you get between major main story quest updates before you lose your audience. Once again, this means hours and hours of quests, often paired with new systems, even if they are parasitic systems, which are systems added onto the game that leech from other systems rather than working with them. It's not a good something, but at least it's something, at least compared to SSO. Something they actually promised in November or December of 2020. They promised 3 major things in 2021. They promised new racing mechanics, which they've only sort of delivered on if you count being able to change out your jumps in certain places as a new racing mechanic. I don't. A glow-up of the Dark Riders and story quests to go with them, and a glow-up of the player character during which they promised they would get player feedback. Now, the last one is very vague, so they could renege if they needed to, and it looks like they're going to need to. They also said they're going to add more restaurant stuff and do something with the clubs, which they did. Sort of. Either way, they are at the deadline for this. They either have to put a new story or their game is basically dead but for the whales. The whales who are again carrying the water for this game already. What players wanted was more story, better races, and less horses. What players got is a tiny bit of story, less game mechanics, and more horses. Star Stable has been releasing 3 to 4 week roadmaps at a time since this went down in April, at least until November. So let's sum up. Players got half an hour of main quest story, with mechanics from Drew training and Catherine's memories that shouldn't have been mixed because you just can't see. Somehow this got lost in them, I don't know. It needs to be fixed so players can see purple energy in the gray between worlds. My opinion of the story itself is just an opinion. And another half an hour of side quest story with some lore about Maya, if you read the comics, you knew years ago, and should have been put in the game then. It included a new daily grace and new grind quest. They got 20 minutes of story tops with Galloper Thompson, half of it we already knew, and the other half contradicting what we already knew. Becca made an observation to me that they seem to be stealthily trying to change the story, and I can't disagree. The problem being when they need to change the front end of the story and they haven't. Oh, and if they have, you can't replay it without buying a new account, and why bother? A bunch of palette swap horses. The Finn horse, the Arabian horse, Aelia and Umbra returned, the Percheron, Talina and Campus returned, and Arabian joined the 6 horses available during open house to make 7 Faramore and Aldrak horses, the Paint horse, a free Jorvik Wild horse, 6 palette swaps of older Gen 3 horses with 3 more versions in the files to be determined, Texas Blue Bell returned, and 3 more horses to the app. 2 new Halloween horses, plus 4 old ones, 3 old magic horses returned, the Nixies, and 7 Icelandics teased. So if they put in 6 more horses plus 4 for Christmas, that's the 3 from previous years and a new one. That's 76 horses since April and 89 projected horses this year total. Yes, I just said that, 89. 65 new and returning horses since April. 1 free. 13 from January to March. So 79 total for the year thus far. I did the math from the news. So 56,690 star coins since April. Round up to 60,000 to divide by 5,000 to get 12. Multiply that by $65, that's $780 since April. But hey, you get a free horse. So $30 free. If you know you bought it at 1,000 star coins price. But hey, if they add in another 6 horses in December at 950 each, and then add in the 3 plus another horse at 950, that's another 9,049 star coins and 10 horses. And then add in the star coins from January to April, that's 10,350. So it's 76,089 star coins total projected for this year. Well, if you round up again, because let's be smart, that's 16 times 65, which is $1,040 of real world money if you bought every horse this year projected. And if someone wants to check my math, please go ahead. I mean, plus or minus a couple grand in star coins isn't going to change much though. Okay, so the first 13 horses were 10,350 star coins. The next 56 horses were 48,843 star coins. The Nixies and the Icelandics are 7,847 star coins. And then the 9,049 star coins to equal 76,089 star coins. 2017, it was 43 horses and 36,793 star coins. That was an average of almost 4 horses a month. In 2020, it was 75 horses and 61,184 star coins, so a little over 6 horses a month. So now we are at 89 and 76,089 star coins. We are at 7 horses a month. By release numbers, they are on track again for another 40 million to do what with? And if this doesn't induce rage, I don't know what will. This doesn't include pets, because that would just make me more ragey. Do not get me started on the Halloween balloon. I have an observation about the player base I'm going to interject here. There is a pervasive myth going around the community about star coins. The best comment I've seen to sum it up, but I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to embarrass anyone, is they must need this money for something if they're making so many horses. I don't know who started this myth or why it's gotten so pervasive. There is this belief in the community, if we don't buy star coins, Star Stable is going to go under. Like they can't pay their payroll and overhead go under if we don't continue to buy star coins. This hasn't been true for years. Their overhead is about 12 million in my estimation. They've been at 20 million or more for quite a few years, and it's in Star Stable's best interest to keep this myth going. Now, I can't go into every comment section and be like, yeah, they got 5 years worth of payroll and overhead money in the last 2 years alone, as long as they didn't distribute it to shareholders already. They're good. Don't worry about it. The truth is, if a company like Star Stable cannot cover their bills with subscriptions and lifetime payments, they do not deserve to be in business. If we stop paying for Star Coins and Star Stable can't pay their bills and have to fire people and restructure and stop different projects, it is not our fault. They've grown too large and spread themselves too thin to support themselves on subscriptions and lifetime payments alone. If they aren't going to give us the content we want and we're promised, then it's their own fault if we stop giving them money. We were getting more content when the team was 50 people. So when you see this myth, you have my permission to bust it. As long as we keep giving them money for star coins because of this myth, nothing is going to change. They'll just keep pumping out horses because that is where the money is, and we've incentivized them to be that way. Or, well, they got greedy. Okay, observation over. Back to what Star Stable has been doing. They revamped 3 places. Silverglade Village went from Cotswold-inspired to Swedish-inspired. The riding arena is now stucco and sticks out like a sore thumb. And Steve's farm went from the basic barn asset in yellow to an American-style barn with white trim. They also forgot to move things for private quests. Things are missing or stuck or impossible to get to, making even more of the game bugged. They brought back 10 different events. Horses of Jorvik, the Rainbow Festival without the rainbows? No idea. It was just Cloud Kingdom. Midsummer Festival, Jorvik Stables Open House, Linda's Show Jumping, the Red String Trail Ride, Horses of Jorvik again, the birthday event, Halloween, Horses of Jorvik yet again. So they took out the Fort Penta Beach Festival, which just adds insult to injury when they didn't do Valentine's, Easter, and the Crashing Rainbows of the Rainbow/Luck Day Festival. Especially when there is gear you can only get during these special events. New players joined because they wanted to experience those events, but there's not enough of them for SSO to care, apparently. The only events they added to were the birthday event and Halloween. For instance, the Midsummer event actually had stuff redacted due to technical difficulties. And during the birthday event, they were prepping for Halloween event by putting recyclables and naming the recyclables the Halloween Ghost Trail Ride collectible names. Not just something any one studio should be doing. That's lazy. The tail end of the Halloween Quest dialogue boxes ended up being bugged with an earlier dialogue box overlaid on the cutscene dialogue box. Great! I'm lucky I didn't have to log out to get out of it. So the horse's name is Morgan. Morgan, I guess? And I don't even want to. Folklore and mythology senses in pain. The biggest event they've been hyping, though, was the birthday 10th year anniversary. They let the community do a quiz to determine the free horse color, though there was absolutely no way to keep them honest on it if the results were actually true or not. But they were going, big things during the birthday event. The birthday event is pretty small usually. It's find golden horseshoes and turn them in for gear, run some races for advanced XP. You don't make the cake or decorate or anything like that. They will usually give out some codes for gear, pets, star coins. The star coins being the most coveted, though the pets aren't that bad because the pets have the value of upwards of 450 star coins. Yes, almost $17. One year they gave out like 500 star coins or something during an event. They haven't done that in a while, but you think now would be the time. They kept going, big plans, big plans. They added in 7 quiz trail rides. You answer quiz questions, you get gear. It wasn't even a full set of gear, and it's in a brown that doesn't match anything, and it was a palette swap, no less. They added in self-guided tours of different areas with a shilling reward and information trying to justify their updates over the years. It didn't work. There were 4 treasure hunt trails, which were like the game of Wild Goose Chase, where you run around the free area of the map figuring out clues to get rewards. Rewards were 2 horse cakes, fireworks, horse food, and a color swap sweatshirt. So this is their idea of a big birthday event. Find golden horseshoes, 1 birthday races for extra XP. You get a free black and white Jorvik wild horse, 7 quiz trail rides, self-guided tours, and a treasure hunt. One of the updates was the revamp to Steve's farm, and another was 6 new horses. In essence, it's a non-event as much as the old event. The first day was crazy. By day 3, it was dead. Everyone logged on, got their new horse, spent 3 days leveling it to max, did the quizzes, and logged out. They added new story to Halloween with Galloper Thompson, but no way it appears to replay the story from last year with Idris, which is weird. Why not replay that on the first week and put in the new story on the second week? And the new Halloween story was same stuff from the video the previous year with a bit more tacked on and then left off at a cliffhanger. Someone on Tumblr did a really great breakdown of the entire lack of consistency on Galloper Thompson. SSO also added some helpers to Moorland, and when you get into Galloper's Keep for a good amount of XP. Which kind of feels like a slap in the face to me. Take a tour, get a bunch of XP and soul shards. Gee, I feel so unaccomplished. The Halloween event, the first day it came out, if you didn't do the new stuff with Poe the Raven and Casper the Ghost, it would completely glitch and bug on you. I don't even know how this could happen, except a lack of a playtest. It's just, yikes. And because of the revamp to Silverglade, the shards around the Silverglade village area were glitched, so you couldn't get them. Gee. But hey, according to Stacy Place, the new game director, they're working on a 3-year plan to standardize Star Stable events. Better late than never. Oh, no, way too late. Then they've added in 3 new races. After the Finn was grind with Big Bonnie and added a new set of tech and gear to Farah, so more grind, so 2 sets of grind, but somehow still ignoring the Rescue Ranch and Starshine Ranch. 2 updates to update the riding clubs. One was a UI wallpaper update to the club management system, which made it look worse, not better, and another was giving the riding clubs their own riding arena they can access in the same area they access the club hall. They also added some new features to the riding arena, like access to your wardrobe, a horse stylist, and the ability to choose different jump configurations and the ground texture. And then they added in new jumps to Golden Leaf Stables, inspired by the same choose your different jump configurations in the riding arena. They added in a mobile-inspired hit E to interact function. They took out the automatic slowdown function, and they removed the cold function in Dino Valley. Sure, they updated the game from 32-bit to 64-bit. However, from my understanding, this means absolutely next to nothing. It's not going to change how the game looks, or runs, or works in any way, because it's not changing anything to do with the engine or the rendering coding or anything like that. It's just changing the code enough to work with a 64-bit processor in your machine to be able to get more data faster and access more RAM. The 64-bit is just good for multitasking and stress testing, which Star Stable doesn't have as much of that as other MMO games, because they are trying to take their PC MMO and make it accessible by mobile. When I think MMO, mobile MMOs are programmed differently. All this means is if your machine is prior to 2006 and has a 32-bit processor, SSO is no longer going to run. They're pairing up with 2 new software companies. One is for sound called Fmod, and the other is called Simply Gone. Fmod is going to cost them up to $15,000 to use, and it's basically a third-party sound suite system where they can do the music and sound effects in real time and have it work inside the game engine. What this says about their game engine currently is, wow. Since they aren't using Unity, Unreal, or Cry, they have to be using it as a third-party integration. This is probably going to help them smooth the audio from the PC version and into the mobile version, and maybe they can sort out their sound layers better because they've been glitched a while. Simply Gone is another third-party program to help them create a chain of assets that go from low poly to high poly counts. It costs $30,000 a year to license. What I mean by a chain of assets is in most games there are 3 to 5 versions of every asset in the game. The first version is the simplest version with the least amount of polygons and a very low resolution type UV texture. This is loaded into the game at the furthest render distance, and as you get closer to the asset in the game loads more complicated assets with more polygons and vertices with better textures that are bigger file sizes into the game until you're right next to it and it's the most complex and best textured asset. You, the player, aren't supposed to see this happening. This is part of optimization and not something most players are going to notice. Good. They are doing stuff behind the scenes, I guess. Long overdue. Well, I've been playing over the years, I have noticed SSO's render distance has dropped drastically. My theory, and this is only a theory, is when they were changing over assets and textures, unlike the old Star Stable seasonal game assets, the new assets didn't have the chain to render them in at a further distance. So in order to save computing power, they just shortened their render distance instead of doing the work and creating the series of assets. This would have been cheaper. Because what SimplyGone does is it takes high polygon and vertex count assets and it starts deleting vertices. This gives me hives, having worked in manufacturing and having dealt with engineers who thought auto measure was a great button in AutoCAD. So while it might save them work in sculpting and deleting vertices themselves, there, in my opinion, will have to be a much larger quality control section. But hey, maybe the render distance will start becoming longer. That'd be nice. Right now, it's awful. And supposedly, they've been working on the animation system behind the scenes. Okay, that's nice. So that's what they've done. 66 horses, 76 with the ones coming out in November, 10 recurring events, maybe an hour of story that's mostly run around and being told shit, only like 30% what's new, and that's me being generous, revamping a tiny bit of the map, 2 things of point-and-click grind, changing out horse jumps, and a UI change that was mostly cosmetic, and adding an E, tech that was mostly palette swaps, and some races. We'll get to Sabine in a minute. You cannot convince me that this is 6+ months worth of work from 50+ people. The game development industry, like a lot of others, has become a lot more open and transparent in recent years. We can follow along with game development of big games on YouTube and Twitch. Star Stable hasn't gotten with the program yet, because they want to bamboozle us that this is hard. If Star Stable says they've made the Wildwoods with 16 people in 2 months, this is not 6 months worth of work from even 16 people. And my understanding is they have only one UI UX person, and I just feel like there was corporate interference all over the new UI UX stuff. So I feel really bad for them. It's not your fault, and I understand it. I honestly don't know what they're doing. Is everyone working on squashing bugs? The engine is a liability. It's breaking the game almost every update. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if they are all working on bugs, how many people were working on the animation behind the scenes update we don't get to see yet? Now, the players have noticed that there were some significant things missing from these game updates, up to and including the character update, which once again they were vague so they could walk it back, and according to all the articles I've read and went over in the last videos, they've still barely started. So at the very end of September and beginning of October, a player called Shy Kaiju asked Star Stable on Facebook when the new player character models were coming, since they'd been promised or hinted and hyped by the player base without being squashed by Star Stable for 2021, the same way they've been hinted and hyped for 2020. Are you seeing a pattern yet? And Star Stable responded with, "We cannot say," and "We cannot say if it will be this year or next." Now, if this game had a bigger type of media presence in the overall game industry, this would be a nail in the coffin. Because game companies who make vague promises get everyone's hype up and then don't follow through on those vague promises with clear and transparent updates fail miserably and are the gamer equivalent of socially blacklisted. No one trusts them again. Trust is a huge part of making games, especially big ones like MMOs. This is not an RPG like Star Stable. The community is falling out of trust, or has long ago fallen out of trust with Star Stable. I mean, 93 to 97% of people who subscribe leave. It's not a good number. Then, the main quest articles dropped at the end of October, and well, the community responded to that almost unanimously. Negatively. And then in November, when Sabine or Jessica got spoiled from the files, you notice who else is missing? Sabine or Jessica? Katya? And the fourth Dark Rider, we don't even know her name? Nihili? Elise? Something? Okay, when 2020 said Dark Riders, that's plural, not singular. I expected all 4 of the characters to get glow-ups, including their hooded forms and their horses. So, yeah, okay, that's 12 models, though technically 16 because the horses are supposed to have 2 forms too. Not 1 character and 1 horse. All of them at once. They've been teasing this for 2 years now. We promise, we promise. And the Dark Riders can't take over the story and shine if you don't have a quest team. Okay. That was long, and I know it. So that's what Star Stable has done, or not done, one of the two. Next time, I'm going to delve into the community response, which emotionally on a whole has been fed up and not good, except for some of the hardcore stands for SSO. There was this great breakdown of the destructive defenders' arguments on Reddit. I'll link it down below. Thanks for listening. Take care, bless, and I'll see you in the next video.